And now it's time for our first guest ever, a man that has shown me how to treat the game of basketball with reverence and gratitude, how to stay in the moment, how to grow and become better, how to continue to strive for excellence and fight through adversity. Who better to start a podcast dedicated to Florida basketball other than the one and only Billy Donovan? Coach Donovan, how are you doing, my man?
Big Pat, I'm doing great. Great to be on with you and great to see you.
Where are you right now?
I'm actually in Florida. I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow to head to Chicago. So I got some time to spend over here in Crescent Beach. I got an opportunity to spend a couple weeks here before we have to pick up and move to Chicago. So it was a good little break before things get started.
In Florida, how's everybody doing? How's Christine? How's Billy, Hasbrook, Brian, and Connor? How are we all doing? I saw Brian at your court dedication. His beard was as big as mine. What's going on there, Coach?
It's amazing, Pat. They've all grown. Billy, my oldest, I hired him. He's going to come to Chicago. He's with the Phoenix Suns last year, so he's going to work in the video room, which was great. And I was really grateful that, Monty Williams and was able to hire him in Phoenix for the year. And he's a great guy, and I got a lot of respect for him. Monty and I worked together for a year in Oklahoma City. And then Hasbrook is teaching Orange Theory in Gainesville, and she's pretty much rooted there. And that's kind of home for her. I don't think she'll ever leave Gainesville. She loves it there. And then Brian, because he was a senior in college when all the COVID hit and his senior year got canceled, they never really graduated or anything. He finished his basketball season. So he's trying to figure out the next step of what he wants to do. It's kind of tough with everything that's going on. But he graduated, he's finished. And then Connor started, she's a freshman right now at Providence College. So it's been a little bit of a challenging time for her just because of the virus and, them having to shut down the school for a few weeks, bring people back. But Christine's doing great. We're all doing great. I appreciate you asking, Pat.
Absolutely. Wow, that's full circle. Connor's going to your old alma mater. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, it's hard to believe she's a freshman in college. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, it was crazy for me, Coach. I go from playing under you for 4 years, and then I got to play for Monty Williams as well for a little bit when I was at New Orleans. And then it was complete. Not only was it culture shock when I went overseas, no discredit to how they coach basketball differently, but I was just like, wow, no scouting, no drills that are for the game. We're not working. We're running the same exact sets the entire season. There's no real accountability to taking care of yourself. I was like, wow, this is it made me truly appreciate the 4 years and understanding what it takes to become a professional. That being a professional. It's understanding that you yourself are the business for your, if you're not taking care of your responsibilities and doing the things that you need to do to put yourself in the best position, you can't expect somebody else to do it for you because no one else is going to hold your hand. And at the end of the day, it's all about wins and losses. And when they're looking to sign you for a contract, they're gonna look at that record, look and see how you produce, and you're gonna be the only one that knows. Did I give it all? Did I take care of myself? Was I getting my rest? Was I doing what I needed to do? And if not, that's on you.
No, Pat, you got it down really, really well. That's, I think, the biggest thing. I think, just my time in college with you guys, there was always this part, whether it be the NBA or overseas or just getting a job, just the responsibility you have to, get yourself motivated to play, get yourself ready for your job. And you're exactly right. Once you leave that facility, you're in charge of your business, so to speak. You're in charge of your body. You're in charge of your rest. You're in charge of, how well you recover. You're in charge of whether or not you decide to go back and get extra shots up. You got to take ownership in your career because when the games or practice happen, they expect you to go be professional, work hard. But there's so much more, as you know, in terms of being successful other than just showing up to practice. And those are some of the things I think that a lot of younger players struggle with when they first get, especially spending a year, maybe in college and then making that jump because there's so much free time. And how effective and productive and efficient can you be with the time that you have?
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that. I know myself personally, I struggle with it big time. It's especially in this age of social media, and not that it's not a tool that can't be useful. but it's so much poison at times for guys that have a vision and a focus for themselves that are, I hate to say it, a lot of smoke's getting blown up their butts, and they think that they're all this and that. And maybe they are. Maybe when they're in high school, no one's criticizing them, they're pointing out their flaws or weaknesses, what they're doing wrong. Then you get to college and you realize you have, I remember freshman year, I had 7:30 a.m. Public speaking class that I was just allergic to getting to on time. And you and Tom Williams had to get on me a few times for that one. But, getting to class on time, we have class checkers, you got study hall. You have, starting off in October, we had 2-a-day practices. Just needing to balance all those things out and just understand all the scouting, all the defensive sets, all the terminology. It's a lot for someone to grasp and to think that you're going to come in with an arrogance that I'm just going to walk into this situation and I'm going to be the man. Not saying that there aren't a few guys that can do that. There's a special few, but for the majority, they're not able to walk into success and for basketball to come to them that easily.
No, you're right, Pat. And I mean, you take someone like yourself, right? Just your group with you and Will and Scotty and Casey, you guys together, it would be almost impossible for a freshman to come in and have any chance of beating one of you guys out because of the level of experience that you had, understanding the terminology, understanding the season, understanding the league, understanding opponents, scouting system, style. Like there's so much, as you just mentioned. And, it's a gradual buildup. And to your point, for a freshman to leave home for the first time, to now have to be responsible to get to class, to balance the basketball in the books, to take care of themselves, to eat right, to get themselves motivated and ready for 2 days, when we first start practicing, it's a lot. And it can be really, really, really overwhelming. And especially if you don't see yourself having success on the court, because as you mentioned in high school, everybody that's on the team at Florida was the best player on the high school team. Now they're all kind of coming together, and you know what? You realize that, wow, like it's pretty competitive, and there's a lot to learn, a lot to get better from. And if that's not going well for you, it can become somewhat depressing where, you feel like you're disappointed in yourself. You thought you'd be a little bit further along. You thought you'd be able to make more of an impact. And those things are real for players, and it's hard for guys to deal with that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that was something I certainly dealt with. Just that expectation, the frustration came from a false expectation that I expected things to be easier for me in a sense, and not understanding that the criticism. I know, just a lot of kids. For me personally, I'll tell you my experience. I just wasn't great at accepting criticism, and I'm so thankful that you had the patience working with me through the 4 years, because that's one thing. Whenever someone asks me about you, like, what was it like playing with Coach Donovan? I was like, what I really loved about Coach Donovan was that he would get on you and hold you accountable. We would make up for it, we'd fix it, and then we move on, we forget about it, and then he just, all right, push you to get better. And I'm like, that type of atmosphere, when you know that your coach isn't going to hold a grudge on you and keep bringing up old things, and that it's coming out of love, that he wants to push me, he sees the greatness in me, was something that I really, really was so thankful for. And that's something that starts in the recruiting process. I know you have to be happy that you're not running around chasing kids like you had to when you were the coaching in college with all the recruiting. I'm sure you did all types of recruiting things.
Yeah, you know what? I did not mind the recruiting. The only thing I didn't like on the recruiting is when, I felt like I wasted a lot of time. You know what I mean? Recruiting somebody that we knew, or thought we could get, but at the end of the day, you realize looking back, we really never had a chance. We wasted all this time. But to get a chance to know your dad and your mom and your sister and your family and everybody over at Providence, where you went to high school, and the people there, I mean, I enjoy that. You meet great people, and, Coach Martin, I'll see him. We'll still keep in touch every once in a while. And, it's just really, really interesting, those relationships. Now, there are times where you sit there and you're flying all over the place watching guys play, and you're like, geez, this is really for nothing. Those are the ones that are tough. But, for the most part.
Especially watching AAU basketball. Especially watching some AAU basketball games. I'm sure that has to be tough.
That's right. So that can get a little bit old too. But I enjoyed, the relationship with you guys, Scotty and you and Will and Casey, and just your guys' own personal stories and your guys' own personal backgrounds and your guys' journey. As a coach, to be a part of that and to see that from when you guys came in, as freshmen, but even before that, when the recruiting process started, when you guys were sophomores and juniors, and seeing that you guys at 15 years old, and then all of a sudden becoming a freshman in college at sometimes 17 or 18 years old, and then seeing you guys graduate, like it was really neat to be part of like that time around you guys and a lot of other players, and also to see, I think, the family support that you guys got. The one thing I always, Patrick, admired about your mom and dad is obviously you were McDonald American, one of the best players in the country coming out of high school. And your mom used to say this all the time, you know what? Patrick's got to go live his life. I'm living mine. I don't need, and I've always admired that, that your parents really just wanted what was best for you and wanted you to be happy and wanted you to pursue and strive whatever you wanted to do in your life. And it was really great to be around them, to see that kind of support where they had carved out their own career, their own identity, and their own life, and they were living their life, but they were going to try to mentor and help you, but they wanted you to make your own decisions and do what you wanted to do, which I always thought was great.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Sometimes I do think about, if I would have left earlier, if I would have left college earlier, maybe not after my freshman year, because there's no way I was 3 points, 3 rebounds a game. There's no. But, some guys are going lottery 3 points, 3 rebounds a game, so I won't knock that. But I have sometimes thinking like, what if I would have? But I never had the expectation or pressure from my parents of you need to go and get to the NBA and be I'm not saying it's in a negative sense, like a meal ticket or the way out. But my family, they work middle class working family. They support I look back and think about my dad. And I got a chance to really, since I was out this past year, really got a chance to spend so much more time with him and learning more about his upbringing. And this just broke my heart that, his dad never came to a single one of his football games. I want to say his entire life. So my dad made the choice that for my sister and I, that he was going to invest so much time in supporting us in everything that we did. And that's why I don't think I ever told you this story. When I was, I played baseball was my first sport, and I actually started baseball from 4 years old. I threw a perfect game when I was 15 years old, and we all thought I was actually going to play baseball. That was going to be my sport. And when I was 17 years old, I was still at Paxton, the first high school where you came and recruited me out of. I was slipping in my grades. I allowed the wrong people to get around me. I started thinking I was all this and that, and came back home. My mom doesn't play. I had like 4 C's on my report card. And at this point, she's like, Patrick, you're going to have to decide what you're going to do, what you need to do. You're not playing basketball and baseball this year. And for me, it was easy. I was already committed to playing basketball at Florida, and I wasn't having a great relationship with the coaches at Paxton at the time with baseball-wise. So it seemed like the right decision. So I don't play that year. The baseball team goes on to the Final Four in high school without me. And then I go transfer to Providence my senior year. And I'm like, you know what? They have a good baseball program here. It wouldn't be a bad idea for me to get one more time. Just get it out, get the baseball itch out one more time. I think we're going into the playoffs, close to the playoffs. The season's ending, and I'm starting to go out and hit some balls, do some batting practice, pitching with the coach, Coach Mack, and Coach Martin's looking for me. He's like, "Where's Patrick?" I'm like, and I guess he's asked his son Tyler, and he said, "Patrick's over at the baseball field." Coach Martin comes over. He's like, "What's going on, Pat? How you doing, man?" I'm like, "Doing great. Just out here playing baseball." He's like, "I got an idea. How about we call Coach Donovan and see how he feels about you playing baseball your senior year? Let's see what he thinks about that." And I said, "All right, Coach, never mind. You're right. I'm good. I'm not going to play." And,
he blamed. I got blamed for it, Pat. I got blamed for it, not Coach. He blamed me for it.
But you know what? Yeah, I still have the what if itch because I do still love the game, even though it's boring. It's a boring game. but I'm so glad the choice that I made and getting to play under you those 4 years. But Coach, the last everyone's gotten to see of you was in the bubble in the playoffs. How was that time? How was life in the bubble?
You know what, Pat? I think that we all were we felt like we were prepared, like of what it was going to be like. We knew it was going to be very restrictive. We knew that we were going to be testing every single day. We had to get up every morning and take our own temperature, fill out a questionnaire. I thought the NBA did a great job of really containing everybody and keeping everybody safe. But when we first got into the bubble, it was really kind of interesting because when we were staying over at the Grand Floridian Hotel, they had pontoon boats for guys. And you would have loved this because everybody was fishing. They were all bass fishing like that, right? Off these pontoon boats. And you could almost stand outside your hotel room and you could fish right off into, there was like a little marina where all the boats were at. And then you could take the boat out into the lake a little bit. And then they also had golf set up for the guys at 3 golf courses there at Disney. So the first 25 days were interesting because, you'd have these practice times. And if you had like a 9 or 10 o'clock practice time, you're done by noon, you grab something to eat. And then, you grab a couple players, you go play some golf. Once we got to playing the games, it was really hard because you're playing every other day. And it's like Groundhog Day every single day. You get up, you go get tested. Yeah. You either have a game or you got practice. You go to the same meal room, right? Same film room, same everything. And there's really, really not a lot you can really, really do once it starts. So we were there for about 60 days. I mean, obviously the Lakers and, the Miami Heat and those teams, they were there for probably close to 90 days, if not longer than that. But the NBA did a great job. It was really challenging. I think the hard part was not being able to, you couldn't move around. You couldn't go to a restaurant. Right. You couldn't see your family. You couldn't, go to someone else's room. It was really, really pretty isolated, but that was to keep everybody safe. I thought the league did a great job of getting that in so that we could finish the season, which was great.
Oh, guys weren't even able to go to each other's rooms, to hang out?
They wanted, I think it probably happened, Pat, but they were really very, very, they wanted people to kind of socially distance and wear masks and those kind of things. So, we were around each other. You could probably, but they just didn't want a lot of people hovering together. They thought, I think, in rooms it would be a little bit more challenging. But I think players probably did go down and see each other. Guys would go down to the food room and they'd sit together. But I just don't think they wanted like a lot of people congregating in one spot. So, but the NBA did a really nice job of helping us, stay safe and then also being able to play.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with how it's been going over here overseas. It's so many without a bubble, I just can't see it possible for players not to get positive because they're going on and living their lives, going to practice, going to a restaurant, whatever. There's been so many teams, especially in the EuroLeague, that have had so many players, and here soon they're going to make a decision on what they're going to do. And I'm hoping they can finish it out and find some kind of way to make it work. But it started off kind of not in the best light right now.
So, Patrick, where are you at right now in terms of your season? Is this kind of like training camp or are you playing games right now? What part of the season are you guys in right now?
Right now, what month we're in? We're in November. This is a quarter of the way in of the season. This, quarter of the way into domestic play and just about 7 games in the EuroLeague play. So there's a lot of season left. Every league is in the first round. We typically they do. Except Israel, and I can't remember where else, you play each team twice, home and away. That's EuroLeague and in your domestic league. So it's really early on right now. And as of Saturday, I'm not sure what the date is. Here in Greece, there's going to be a nationwide lockdown. So we're going to be stuck in the house until the end of the month. Wow. But I can still train. I'm actually not with the team. I was with the team in Israel earlier and got released. And took some time here in Greece to train, get myself right. Hopefully by January, I'm not sure where things are going to be. But if I still have my sanity after being in the house for a month and just doing the same routine, Groundhog Day, as you said, I'll find a team. And if not, hopefully after how long have we known each other now, Coach? I said I met you at 15, so 13 years. Hopefully we can finally get a fishing trip or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, we have to do that, Patrick. Either over here at Crescent or we'll go over to Cedar Key.
Cedar Key sounds great. All right, Coach. Let's take it back. Let's go back to 1996. I was 4 years old, and you were hired as Billy the Kid, the new face of Florida basketball. Take us back and talk about that opportunity, your mindset, your vision. Jeremy Foley giving the keys, that new chapter of that journey in your life.
Yeah, Pat, I think it was really, in a lot of ways, it was a perfect fit for me, because one, the relationship I established, with Jeremy Foley, and I think we were really, really aligned and connected, and had a lot of very, very similar beliefs and philosophies on what it was going to take to try to build the program up. And I came in during a time where, Lon Kruger came in. I was at Kentucky as an assistant for a while, and Florida was on probation. Lon Kruger came in. He did an unbelievable job cleaning up the program, got him to the Final Four. But, he had 2 losing seasons before he left. I came in. We had 2 losing seasons. We had 4 straight losing seasons, So, but I think Jeremy understood, like, the direction we were going. We both believed was the right direction. Pat, the one thing that really helped, and I'm actually, be sad to let everybody know this, but Shaky Rodriguez, who was the head coach at Miami High for a number of years, and we recruited Udonis Haslam, Brent White. He passed away last night. I'm so sad. He's such a great man, a great coach. But having Anthony Grant on my staff at Marshall, and then getting the Florida job, and him being a Floridian, and certainly knowing and playing at Miami High for Shaky Rodriguez, and knowing Frank Martin, that was really the first thing, because I think we all felt like we had to do a great job recruiting the state. That was the biggest thing for us, is that, Anthony knew the state really well, knew the high school coaches very well. It expedited a lot of time for me getting to know people, because Anthony knew a lot of people. That helped. And then I think because of John Pelfrey playing at Kentucky, he had kind of a national name. And then he enabled us to kind of be able to get out nationally and maybe recruit some different people. Being at Kentucky for 5 years, we recruited nationally. So we always had the philosophy of, like, okay, if there's a need at the power forward, center, guard, small forward, and it's in the state of Florida, we've got to really do a great job recruiting that young man and having a runway and a platform for that guy to excel and play, right? Because you go into Jacksonville, Patrick, and you recruit right? You want to be able to go back to Jacksonville and recruit again, and you want to be able to go back to so you
Absolutely.
want to create a platform where not that you're going to hand anything, but they need to have a runway and a platform where they can kind of excel. So it really was a great time, and there was a lot of real positive things that happened. And I think the timing for us as a staff coming into Florida with Jeremy Foley was a great time. We're very, 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 very blessed, and it was God's timing.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I reached out to Jeremy. I'm going to have him on the show too. I can't wait to pick his brain. I'm sure he's got all types of things to talk about. But I got a chance. Your good friend Jeff Goodman, he says hello, and he reminded me of I guess in your earlier years when you were recruiting Mike Miller, chasing him down the highway or something like that, honking at him, trying to let him know how much you wanted. Tell us a little bit about that.
We back then it was so different, the recruiting, and it changed as it went along. But back then, what you could basically do, you used to stand in line and wait to talk to the AAU coaches after the games were over with, like during the AAU events. You could basically what you did is like if we were recruiting you, Patrick, I'd walk across the court and speak to your AAU coach and give him a letter so that he can give the letter to you, and that's kind of the way it was. I mean, you could theoretically, I could call up the front desk and, you could tell me, hey coach, I'm in room 202, the Holiday Inn. Couldn't have contact, but we could go up there and we could put notes underneath your door. So you still were able to do some things. It's very, very, very different. And so I had kind of made a decision after seeing Mike Miller play that I thought that he was the guy that was a great fit for us. And we had Haslam, we had Teddy Dupay, we had so he was like the one guy outside the state. And John Pelfrey did a great job recruiting him. So I think I saw him play. It's something crazy, like the July recruiting period. I think we saw him play 24 straight days. We followed him for 24 straight days.
Wow.
Yeah, but the thing back then, the trip was you used to play in Vegas, and then you would drive from Vegas to LA to play in the LA event. That's kind of how the circuit went back then. So John Pelfrey and I, we followed their van from Vegas through the desert, into LA. And we just would try to do outside the box things to, because we couldn't even really get involved. Like, we were just trying to get a visit. I mean, you have to understand, at that point in time, Florida had 2 losing seasons. So we didn't have a lot of, leg to stand on. And we just kind of really developed a great relationship with Mike, and he liked player development, and he wanted to be a pro, and he wanted to go somewhere where they were going to invest time in him. And he wanted to, the thing I respected about him in the process is he told me this. I thought it was really, this is what I thought really helped us. He said to me, he says, Coach, everybody keeps telling me how they're going to build their program around me, and nobody's telling me how and what I need to do to get better.
Yeah.
And he said, you've watched me play all this time. I want you to critique my game and tell me where I got to get better and what's holding me back. And I think because of those conversations with Mike, we got very, very close. And I think that Mike didn't want a lot of the recruiting hoopla where, to your point, he's being told how great he is. We're going to put the ball in your hands. We're going to build our program around you. You're going to do this. He wasn't ready. He wanted to win, and he wanted to get better, and that's why I ended up recruiting him so hard, because I just believed in who he was as a player, and I thought he'd be a really good fit for us.
Yeah, that's such a rare mindset. I'm sure you hear these days with the way that social media has just given kids these false realities that they're so good, and you only see the highlights on social media. You don't get to see the 15 turnovers or these. You get to see them taking these half-court shots from the logo nowadays, but
that's right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So I know the answer to this, but what for the person that's not a Gator fan, that's listening in, that's getting a chance to know more about you, what were some of your core pillars that you tried to establish your time as Florida as a coach? I'll say, as a coach at Florida, as a coach now. And how do you instill those things into your players?
Yeah, Pat, I think it's a great thing. I think you have to have values, right? Both as a person, your life, your job, you have to have some values. And there was things that I always were important to me. The first thing is I thought it was important that, we have a group that worked hard, you know what I mean? Because I think that yields good results. You mentioned a little bit earlier, wanted to be able to have a group that could handle adversity, both personal and team adversity, because those things I think are real. I think we wanted to have a tough-minded team where we had a mental and a physical toughness about us. I don't know if you can ever show film, but I always say it's one of the greatest plays.
Gosh.
One of the greatest plays I ever saw made was the play you made at Tennessee when the loose ball game was on the line, and you dove and came up with that ball, and it was such a powerful just a powerful moment and a powerful clip to what you and that group were all about. There was a mental toughness, there was a physical toughness. And I also think too, the most important thing to me is when you have these pillars, but I've always said this, the teams that I've been around that have been the best teams, they have 3 characteristics. They really, really love each other. They really care about each other, and they really accept each other. And I think it was interesting, and that was what was so pleasing to me for your guys, even your guys' last couple of years was you guys always didn't see eye to eye, right? We had a group of guys that, were needed to do things better off the court. We had a group of guys that needed to do things better on the court, but it wasn't this really, really connected group like it needed to be. And I think once you guys started to get to know each other and each other's stories and each other's personal challenges and things that you guys were really, you started to have a different view for each other. And I felt like, that team, Patrick, along with that 2006 and 7 teams, and even going back to like those guys really loved each other. And the thing that was so great for me as a coach to be a part of with you guys was to see the way those relationships from your guys' freshman year all the way through evolved into lifelong relationships because of what you guys put into it together.
Yeah, it's really awesome to hear that from your perspective. Just Scotty, Will, Casey, and I just remember us being so close from day one, and just being able to encourage one another. I mean, I remember our freshman year, after every practice, we were playing one-on-one after practice. We were getting in the gym late. We were playing video games together. We were going to training table together. Whatever experience. Scotty, it's so funny. Scotty being the youngest at the time, he was the orchestrator of everything. I think it was more so because Scotty came from a more little bit of a sheltered environment where he didn't get to experience much, that he was like, I have all this freedom. I'm gonna go and do whatever. And the rest of us. Will's from he's not exactly he's from France and he's still trying to figure things out. Yeah, we're all Casey's coming from Tennessee. I'm coming from Jacksonville, and we're all just like all for along the ride, just doing those things together. But yeah, we realized early on, I want to say our freshman year, that we just saw some of the leadership through the teams before, and we just made a decision to ourselves that one day when we're in those positions, we're going to do things differently. We're going to be the guys that we think are the one that equate to winning. And it wasn't just about, and what I loved about what you did so consistently to tell us, that it's about staying in the moment, staying present, not taking for granted where you are in this exact moment of how can I get better today? How can I stop worrying about yesterday? Yesterday is going to take care of itself. We either did what we were supposed to do or we didn't do. So today we can get better, and we have no control over tomorrow. So all we can do is focus on today, stay in the moment, get better, and continue to build the bricks. Because I actually remember it was after we lost to Michigan in the Final Four, or in the Elite Eight. And we're coming into the senior year. We had one of the best. This is when I started to learn about defensive points per possession, that we had one of the best in the country. And it was almost as though we had this arrogance about ourselves coming into that season, that we're just going to fall into being this great defensive team again. And I want to say, I'm not sure if it was after the preseason game or the first game of the season, you had to hit us with a big piece of humble pie in our face. And like, I don't know who you guys think you are, but you have to lay down the foundation every single day. Just because you did so great last year defensively, yes, that means you have potential to be that, if not better. But if you don't start doing it today and every single day, and I remember we were doing that same shell like dribble handoff drill every single day to start practice. And little did you know that going in against Kentucky the third time in the SEC tournament, they tried to run a dribble handoff on us, and we ended up stopping that to win the game. So it's putting in the work for those small things every single day. I tell my friends all the time, the teammates, it's what separates good teams from great teams is that they consistently do the small things each time. That's what it is. They buy into the small things because they all add up into success. You put yourself in the best position to win when you do the small things. Hands up, jumping to the ball, boxing your man out, whatever it may be. So I'm just so thankful that you put us through so much adversity, especially with that doggone bubble. Gosh, I hated that thing. I hated the bubble.
Pat, they probably think you're talking about the bubble we just left. They don't realize the bubble on top of the rim.
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, Coach. I might choose the bubble that you were in over having to be in a 2-hour practice with the bubble on top of the rim, where the shot's never going up and there's no fouls being called. You got to get 3 stops in a row.
Yeah, Pat. You know what's interesting is, and I really mean this. Like, think about this now. I think your guys' senior year is when the league went to 18 league regular season games. Maybe went from 16 to 18 games. And you talked about staying in the moment and kind of laying the foundation. The thing that was so impressive is that was the first year that there was 18 league games. You guys went. I don't know what the dates were, Patrick, but you guys, your senior year, I think maybe we lost to Connecticut, I think early December. And then you guys went all the way to the Final Four and never lost a game. It was like 105 days that you guys went without even losing a game. And I always said, like, your guys' ability to put success behind you and not let it get in the way of what the next thing that we had to do, and I really admired how you guys were playing for each other and for a bigger purpose. And it was like these successes along the way, I think they're rewarding and satisfying for you guys, but you guys knew, like, okay, we can't rest on our laurels. We got to come back tomorrow and we got to get back to work. And then, you win another game. Okay, we got it. And it's so easy when you're winning to lose sight of the work that's
Yeah.
being put in. And you guys never lost sight of that, which was really remarkable, because I've never been around a team that's ever gone that. You guys went over 100 days and never lost a game. I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah. Well, you and Coach Pelfrey and Coach Berno and all did such a fantastic job of creating a great culture for us, of giving us a grade for each game and just pushing us to not settle. Like I loved how Coach Pelfrey was just so adamant on us not just winning, but if we let a team score 50 points, if we let them score more than 50 points, it's like we get an F. And we were so bought in on, especially when we came to like playing Tennessee or playing Kentucky. I remember the last time we played Tennessee at home, just holding Jordan McRae to like 3 points. Every time he touched the ball, he saw 6 hands to the ball.
You remember all the words. You remember them all, Pat.
I remember all the terminology. Yeah, I remember, because it's just so funny when you play for a team that played such great team defense, pick and roll, help, white line, whatever it may be, and then I get to another system where I'm like, we're kind of just guessing on defense. I'm like, guys, I mean, I'm not going to say that our formula is perfect, but if we have some type of understanding of what we need to do each and every time, we'll be such a better. And it's not even about talent at that point. It's about understanding of being in the right place, jumping into the ball, being active, things that any professional basketball player should be able to do.
Well, Patrick, the reason why we were so great defensively was 2 things. I think you have a chance to be elite defensively when you have an elite point guard, which Scotty was incredibly elite, and you have an elite center, which you were. People don't understand how much work you had to do on a regular basis, especially with the way the game was evolving in pick and roll, where you were up and you did an unbelievable job always. You'd be down. Guards could never get around you. You'd string it out. Your man would be rolling to the rim. Somebody would be holding to give you a little bit of support. You'd have to sprint back inside, get on,
Yeah.
Shot will go up. You got to go block out. You got to go rebound. Then you got to run down the floor. And I thought that was probably your biggest adjustment from your maybe sophomore year to your senior year, is you developed incredible endurance to be able to do that. And I think, like your sophomore year, I think it was like coming off the bench behind Alex Tyus and Vernon Macklin and Chandler and those guys. And you kind of were like this, it was like this lightning bolt that came in off the bench, right? Just like stuff happened. But then all of a sudden those guys leave, and now you got this thing, and you're like, gosh, I mean, this is a heavy load.
This is hard.
It's a heavy load, and it takes time to learn how to, because it's fatiguing, it's exhausting. You try to figure, okay, where can I get a rest? Where can I get here? But I think you, as time went on, really understood just the physical, like what you did physically your senior year was absolutely remarkable on both ends.
Man, I remember the one game. I think Will got a concussion early on. We had the gray jerseys against Tennessee, and that was the first time I ever experienced what it's like to be a big man to play 38 minutes. And I keep looking back at the bench. And you're like, nah, bro, it's you. You're in. I'm like, Coach, 38 minutes is a different animal. I don't know what. Oh man, I actually ended up playing at 38 minutes my last season in Italy, and that was another monster as well. I don't see how guys. You really have to be committed to the conditioning part of basketball too, because you showed us one day of how long we each have the ball actually in our hands in a game. Just if someone had a stopwatch, and from the 40-minute game or 48-minute NBA game, how long is the ball actually in your hand? If you're not the point guard, if you're not LeBron or whoever it may be, like I'm going to have the ball in my hand maybe less than 30 seconds. What else can you do for the rest of that 39-30 to impact winning? And like you said, that's running the floor. That's what you always push me to do. We run the floor so well. That's what bigs and I appreciate coaches that are adamant on reminding their guards to reward their big guys sometimes, because we get the rebound, you run, you steal, you're like, oh, you're like, Nah, come back and come set the screen real quick.
No question. And I think, Patrick, like, you're exactly right. Like, people don't understand, I think, your job. That's the thing. First of all, at the center spot, you're the biggest, tallest, and probably from a weight standpoint, you're the heaviest guy on the team. And I'm not saying that Scotty or Casey or Will or these other guys didn't put work in. I don't mean that. But for you to drag 260, up and down the court like that, have to play in pick and roll coverage, and then a lot of times inbound the ball and then run down the floor, like you're playing almost end line to end line, in a lot of ways. And a lot of times the guards are playing, like top of the key to top of the key. It's a little bit, and plus we're pressing. So like the what you had to do physically was incredible in terms of people probably cannot really put that into perspective because listen, not only the running, but the physical contact against post defense and blocking out, like that wears you down over a period of time, and you got really, really great at that, as your career unfolded, really good at it.
Yeah, I just look back and just wish I would have done a little bit better job on the rebounding standpoint. But, a person that's not looking at numbers and can see those that understands the game can see, how often was anybody scoring on me in the post, or what was a player's efficiency of getting an assist or points in pick and roll defense? Because Scotty and I in an ice, which is for people that don't understand, the screen that's on the wing, we're forcing them to stay on the side. We're not giving them the middle. The guard will jump on this top side and force him to the baseline, and I'll be there to stop. If he tries to beat me to the baseline, the big has to be quick enough to do so and not allow the guard to split the screen as well. And we did such a great job on that. But Coach, let's get more on your career. I want to talk about you playing at because I remember you told me when you were playing for Coach Pitino at Providence just how rigorous the practice schedule was, and he was the reason for the 20-hour rule in college basketball right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there is no question, Patrick, in my mind that they put the 20-hour rule in because of him. I loved it. It was great for me because if it wasn't for him and that kind of environment, I would have never experienced what I got a chance to experience in the game of basketball. People probably can't even wrap their head around this. And this is 30 plus years ago. But, when we first started, like in October, you had mentioned having double sessions. We had double sessions on Saturdays and we had triple sessions on Sundays. We went 3 times on Sunday. And basically what our day was, Patrick, and I loved it. So I don't want to, like, this to me as a basketball junkie and as a guy that wanted to be as good as he could be and wanted to kind of exhaust every opportunity to reach his potential, I loved it. But
you were a dog, Coach.
Well, we got up, Patrick, went to class, and then we had individual instruction for 45 minutes in between class. And it was with one of the coaches, and it was pretty intense for 45 minutes, all shots, ball handling, screen shooting, things like that. There was another guy out there. We played one-on-one, but it was a 45-minute workout. We would come back, and we would practice at 3 o'clock. And practice would go from 3 to 5:30, 3 to 6, somewhere in there. And then we'd shower up. We'd go to the cafeteria. We'd grab something to eat. And then study hall started at 7. And we had study hall in our practice facility, so we were upstairs. So we would go from study hall from 7 to 10. And then we'd come back down and practice again at 10 o'clock at night. And it was a non-contact practice. So it could be scripting our offense and maybe shooting free throws. There was no contact, no tape.
Okay.
Coach Pitino would get out there. We would actually we'd do these shooting games. We played 2-on-2 shooting games, and whoever lost, had to go downstairs and buy the other guy milkshakes and stuff like that. So it was great. It was great. Like but that's the way it was. I mean, we never ever there was no such thing as having to take a day off. There was no mandatory days off. We probably had off from practice maybe 3 times the entire year. And I mean, it was from, basically from the time you got up to the time you went to the bed, your day was completely occupied. And when the day was over with, you did not want to go anywhere, but you wanted to go to bed,
You wanted to go to bed. Yeah.
No, but it was great. I mean, just because, I mean, again, like Jeff Van Gundy was one of the assistant coaches.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Herb Sendek, who was the head coach of Santa Clara, was at Arizona State and NC State. He's an assistant coach. Stu Jackson, who was the head coach for the Knicks, for a period of time, and Vancouver Grizzly, he's coached me. And then Gordy Chiesa, who was one of the assistant coaches for Utah. So I had a chance to play for some really, really great coaches over the years. Really great coaches.
You not only have you gotten to play for some great coaches, I mean, just how many coaches have been under you or with you or connected with you that are now out doing their own thing. I mean, I'm even excited to see Darren Hurts, assistant coach at Dayton with Anthony Grant right now. Like, it's incredible the tree that goes from Billy Donovan, or it starts from somewhere else, but of everyone that you've been connected to has been pretty amazing just to see. Who knows? One day I'd work for you in a heartbeat, Coach.
Thanks, Pat. Well, listen, I always say this: you're only as good as the people you have around you, and that's players and coaches. And I've been really blessed and fortunate to coach some incredible players, but even more importantly, incredible people. And I've been able to be around not only some incredible coaches, but people that were incredible people and did a wonderful job. So, I think that you're only as good as the people that you have around you. And I had a lot of great people around me.
Awesome. Let's transition, Coach. Let's talk about, after my senior year, you stayed at Florida for one more year, and then decided maybe it was time to try something different. I know that OKC was around and you had connections with Sam Presti for a while, just to stay connected with those guys. First off, because I know back in 2007 was an opportunity for you to think about going with the Orlando Magic. How did that decision with the Magic compare to your decision after the 14-15 season to decide to take that leap of faith and go on to the NBA?
Well, I think it's a great question, Patrick, because one of the things for me in that situation was coming off the 2 championships and then going to potentially the Magic. I felt there was just this angst I had that I'm like, okay, we put all this work in, not just me, but Jeremy Foley and myself, the staff, the players. And it's like, I'm not as a coach, I'm never going to know what could have been a Florida basketball, because we've just come off of 2 national championships and I'm going to pick up and leave, and I'm not really seeing this thing through. And I felt like I hadn't seen the whole thing through. And when I made the decision to go, for whatever reason, I don't know why I didn't sooner, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, I can't do this. I'm leaving, I think there's more to do here. Yeah. And then excuse me, Pat, then I think, the next, whatever it was, next 8 years, excuse me, having Chandler, you, Scotty, all these guys, we had some incredible moments, but I got to a place where I was like, you know what? There's nothing more I can experience.
Yeah.
I had to start over after you, Scotty, and Casey and Will left. Had to start over after Joe Kim, Al, Corey, and Torian left. Lost in some games to go to the Final Four, won some games to get to the Final Four, won in the national championship, lost in the national championship, been in the NIT, lost in the NIT, had losing seasons, winning. So I went through all this cycle and I loved it, but I just felt like it was time for me to, was there something like, would I be stretching myself in a way? Because I knew I could be comfortable with Florida. I loved it, but would I look back and say, you know what? I had this opportunity to do something. I didn't do it. I'm looking back and I'm regretting it. And I didn't want to do that, but I also felt like I was at peace finally, Patrick. I wasn't at peace. I was at peace that this was a good time. And, it'd been 19 years and it wasn't look like it needed to be a unique situation for me in order to leave Florida because of the relationship, but I just felt like I experienced everything. I felt like we took the program from day one all the way through 19 years. And there was a lot of unbelievable moments, a lot of difficult moments, some high times, low times. You're going to have that when you're at a place for a long period of time. But I had a chance to grow and be around like incredible people, which I'm always grateful for.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, when I saw you made the decision, I was completely supportive. I could see that. I always hoped that you would, take that chance and see what it was like. And why not? Why not? It's your life. It's your legacy. If your family supports it, if you're at peace with it, I came to Florida because of you, and being able to see you continue to do your thing and push yourself, because it's easy to be comfortable, but it's tough to take on a challenge in unknown territory, and I'm so glad that you did that. What was like your biggest adjustment going from college to the NBA and coaching some of the most talented guys in the world, and just the atmosphere, the fan base is different. Tell me a little bit about that.
The most humbling part for me, Patrick, was the fact that my first year with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, Nick Collison, Steven Adams, these guys were in the NBA 6, 7, 8, 10 years. And they had way, way more experience and knowledge than I had. And I knew going in there that I had to, so to speak, catch up to them, right? Because I think the first game I coached in the NBA was against the San Antonio Spurs. It was our opening game, my first time coaching. And you're going through shoot-around that day. And you have to accept the fact that, like, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant have played against Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker and Tim Duncan for 7 straight years. And they've played in playoff series. They know these players inside and out, how to guard them. I needed to pick their brain to get information from them, because I could certainly watch film. But when it came to defensive scouting reports, a lot of times those guys had very, very interesting insights. It would be like hypothetically, somebody that you played against, Patrick, in college for 4 straight years, and you get to be a senior and you're watching, video, but playing against that guy for 8 times, Well, these guys, just imagine they've played, imagine that Russell Westbrook's played against Tony Parker 30 times, or Durant's played against Kawhi Leonard 40 times. Like, I don't have that experience, so I had to really utilize it. So that was something that's funny. And then it was funny because in one of the first games of the year, I'm in a timeout, and the players were great, Patrick, because I'm sure that there was some things that they're probably looking at going, okay, like, this guy's from college, like, this guy. The X's and O's weren't bad. It's just the game was a lot different, as you know. But so there was a foul in the lane in one of the games early when my first year. It was a foul in the lane. They're taking the ball out of bounds. There's a TV timeout. They come to the bench, and I'm sitting there and I'm diagramming an underneath out of bounds play. So Westbrook takes his hand and puts it over my clipboard and says, "Coach, up here, we take it out on the side. In college, they take it out underneath the basket." I said, okay, So you get into some of those situations where the game is moving so fast. I remember my first couple of times I put Nick Collison in the game, and Nick's like a 15-year vet, and I'm not even paying attention. And he comes back over to me and says, "You got to get me out of the game." I was like, "Nick, I just put you in the game." He said, "They have 5 guards out there. I can't guard anybody." I'm like, "Oh my God." So it's just like the game moves so fast and it's so different that, it takes a while to catch up. So I would say it probably took me, 30, 40, 50 games just to kind of get into a better rhythm. But a lot of it was my rhythm of trying to learn the league, learn coaches, learn systems, learn styles, learn personnel. And I really worked hard to watch a lot of film to catch up.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Humbling to hear that. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Yeah, these guys have played. If I would have played somebody for, 30, 40 times, the best, I would feel as though I knew somebody inside out in that aspect. And yes, maybe there's some blind spots. Hopefully that guy has humility, because we all have blind spots, things we don't see, something we can do better. And that's kind of like your job was to help facilitate these guys to see their blind spots, to help them be more effective.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But Pat, it would be like you playing against someone from Kentucky or someone from Tennessee 3 straight years, and maybe you played him once, but you've played against this guy 8, 10 times your career, and you know this guy inside and out. And then the next thing you know, they hire a high school coach. And now the high school coach is the head coach, and he's coming from high school to college. And now you're getting ready to play Tennessee, and they're talking about the scouting report, and you're sitting there saying, all right, I played against this guy. Like, I should have a little bit of a voice right now to kind of tell you what right?
Right.
That's what happened basically for me is I had to go to Westbrook and Kevin Durant and Ibaka, and I had to talk to them about players, and I had to talk to them about, you know, how they thought that they could most effectively guard, and, you know, just different things offensively, different things defensively to learn. And those guys were really, really good in terms of helping me. And to your point, you know, humbling, because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to win. So, you know, what can I do to help? So I had a lot of work ahead of me to catch up, and I think I worked hard and did that. But those guys were great with me. They were great.
What was it like? You know, I know you had Kevin Durant for 1 year, and you had Westbrook for 4, and
Yes.
Paul George as well. And what was it like just coaching these guys and you know, being able, these guys, I mean, seeing guys that they'll be there for a gym and they'll miss like 5 shots, guys that don't miss, and just Westbrook has to be the most athletic guy you've ever coached.
No, I mean, the thing that's amazing, Patrick, is even like with Russell Westbrook or Chris Paul, or to your point, Paul George, they all have their own way of getting ready to play, but they know how to get themselves ready to play. And you never really worry about those guys showing up to play, because that's why they're so elite, is they know how to get themselves ready, and they're great competitors. I learned a lot by being around those guys, just their attention to detail. We talked about this, you know, on the top of the show, you know, what it means to be a pro. I'll never forget this. We had a East Coast swing. This was this past season. And we're coming off. We just played Brooklyn. It was a double overtime game, and we had really, it was a snowstorm in Brooklyn, and we had really terrible headwinds going back to Oklahoma. And we landed, I want to say maybe 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. And we had that day, and then we were playing the next day. So I was like, wow. So I went home, fell asleep, got up, and I went to the office. We didn't have practice that day, but we were playing the next day. It's 7 o'clock at night. I'm sitting in my office, and my phone rings, and it's Chris Paul. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I'm doing good. He's like, where are you? I said, I'm in my office. Where are you at? He says, I'm back in the locker room. And I'm like, all right, I'll come back and see you. So I go back there, and this is at 7 o'clock at night, the night before a game, and we just got in at 5:30 in the morning. And he's going back and forth between the sauna and the cold tubs to do hot and cold therapy treatment. And then he's doing like mobility work in the weight room to get himself ready. And like, he was the only one there. And like, wow. I had such admiration for why he is so good. You know, everybody talks, he's really smart. He is really smart. Oh, he can really make, yeah, he can do it. But if you saw the way he fights every day for inches, like his game's not going to change. He's 35 years old, but you talk about a guy that fights for inches. I think Russell Westbrook's the same way. If you see these guys away from the court, the diligence that how they eat, how they rest, how they, you know, what time, the nutrition, the hydrate. I mean, they are meticulous about gaining an advantage, and they watch film and they study, and they view it as a job. And to your point, like, they take ownership in getting themselves ready to play, and they are terrific with that. Terrific.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, like you know, everything adds up. Fighting for inches. So I wish that needs to be a motto over every locker room for guys and young guys to understand that that's what it takes. That because guys get so talented and so good at a certain point. It's like, what else are you doing? How can you recover and have yourself at the best level? Because it comes down to those last conditioning, the last 5 minutes, especially in the playoffs. Those last 5 minutes, you know, I was watching your guys' playoff series against the Rockets, and it really came down to those last 5 minutes, close to it every game. And even the final game, it was right there within the last minute and a half, and Eric Gordon came up and made some terrific defensive plays out of nowhere, right on Chris Paul. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was really rooting for you guys, but great season.
No, I appreciate it, Pat. There was a great group. I enjoyed those guys.
So, Coach, you're currently the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. was this a dream to get this another opportunity like this? I wasn't sure exactly what you were going to do. I didn't know if you were going to take some time away from coaching or because I hadn't talked to you.
Yeah.
You know, how did the opportunity come into fruition? What made it so appealing? What was it about? Just you know, not leaving OKC where you were comfortable again, or what? You know, tell us about all that stuff, please.
Yeah, you know, I just felt like, Pat, just in the conversations with OKC, it was time, you know, for me. And I was very, very, very appreciative, very grateful. Like we talked about, being able to come from college and go into a really good team and work with some really incredible people. And the time that I had there was great, but I just felt like it was time, you know, for me to move on. I did not know what to expect. I think Labor Day was on a Monday. Tuesday, I sat down with them and kind of let them know what I was planning on doing. And I drove on Thursday morning from Oklahoma to Florida. I had not seen my family because we just got out of the bubble. We got basically back right before Labor Day weekend. So I ended up just driving back to Florida, and they had called and wanted to come in on Friday. And I'm like, listen, I just got back, and wait till Monday. And they came in Monday, the president and the general manager, and it was great. I mean, they really wanted a partner, you know, in everything that they're doing. You know, they, I think, really wanted me to work closely with them, putting together a staff, building out a system and a style of play. I felt like they were really leaning on me for a lot of those things. You know, like one of the things I think, like you hear a lot of times in the NBA, you'll hear words like, you know, they want a shared vision, and they want alignment, and they want collaboration, and they're all great words and got no problem with them. But the one word that really I thought hit with me that really kind of grabbed my attention was, they told me they wanted a partnership, that they wanted to partner and really work closely together. And I really, you know, appreciate that. And I had a really good working relationship in Oklahoma City. But when you leave and you're now taking over something new, you don't know what it's going to look like, because that's my only experience in the NBA. So a lot of the things that they talked to me about made sense. So we talked on that Monday. We talked again on Wednesday. I talked to ownership on Friday, and then they gave me the weekend to decide. And I just kind of said some prayers and, you know, just spoke to my family, and they were very supportive. So, you know, decided I really wanted to do it, wanted to be a part of it. But I didn't know what the future. I was leaving Oklahoma under the impression that I was going to probably maybe just take the year off with the virus. Who knows when the season was going to start up, and maybe just kind of spend some time with my family and just kind of, just go and go from there. You know, just see what happens. Go from there. Maybe go over to Greece and visit you. You know,
hey, that'd be cool. Me and Scotty and Will.
That's right. Go over there and see you guys. So I just, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen. And this thing kind of really, really opened up, and I was really excited about it.
Well, I'm extremely happy for you, and I can't wait to see, you know, when the season's going to start. I think they're talking about a December start, and hopefully we can all get that thing going by then. But it is so exciting to be a part of this journey and see you continue to chase after greatness, Coach. And I got two more questions for you, and I'm gonna let you go. The first one comes from last question, second to last question, comes from our main man, Super Gator Jerome Millman.
Great.
Yeah, great. I'm dedicating a segment to him, a question to him every podcast, because I love that guy to death.
He is great. He is great.
So he wants to talk a question regarding the 2014 season. Was there a time when you foresaw us winning 30 games and going to the Final Four?
I felt like the group, Pat, had every opportunity. We'd gone 3 years in a row. I mean, what you guys did was remarkable. I mean,
we were supposed to have 3 elite Final Fours in a row, 4 Final Fours in a row.
Well, the only one, Pat, the only one, if you think about it, like Michigan really, really beat us pretty handily, right?
Yeah.
But Louisville and Butler, we were in command of those games. We had every opportunity to win, and we fell a little short, right? But you're exactly right. We almost went to 4 Final Fours in a row. I felt like we were close, and I thought that we could get there. The one thing I had no understanding and never would have thought possible would have been that you guys would have went 100 and whatever it was, 5, 10, 12 days of never losing a game. And the fact that you guys would gone undefeated in the SEC. Right. And the one, you don't remember this. We were coming towards the end, Pat. This is funny. And I talked to Duke, and I don't know if you remember this. We played Auburn at Auburn, and we played really poorly. And we ended up winning by 7 points. And we just didn't play very well. So we had Auburn come into our place. It was maybe like, I don't know. Like it was maybe like there's only a few games left before – there was maybe 4 games left. So I'm showing you guys film, and I'm saying like because they were starting to play a little bit better, Auburn. They were playing better. We played them very earlier in the year. And I showed this film, and I was showing you guys all these negative plays we're making, this, and this. And I walk out of the film room and Duke says, great job having them believe there's no way in hell they could ever lose this game. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, I just showed all the mistakes. He says, you just got done showing them all those mistakes, and they still won. They think Auburn stinks.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I look down at the bench. There's like 2 minutes to go in the game. It's a tie score, and Frazier makes a 3 at the top. And we go up 3, and then they turn the ball over by our bench. We get it back, and we end up the game. But they those little point guards. The one lefty was really good player. They had some good. We couldn't control those guys.
Yeah, I remember that game. Like that was actually one of my favorite games from our team.
Great game
because we faced. Going into that game, I remember. I don't know if you remember it, but I hurt my quad in the warm-ups.
Yes.
And the first half, I had 0 points and 1 rebound. And you got after me in the halftime. You were like, "Are you going to man up and play, or do I need to find somebody else?" And I said, "You know what? I'm going to play." And I think I ended up with 17 and 10, and I got fouled, knocked down 2 free throws to tie the game, and then that's when the next possession, Frazier hit the 3. The place is rocking, going crazy. Man. The place, I miss that environment so much, man. We had that place rocking. The Rowdies were unbelievable, and it was so loud. The fans should have gotten a stat for the turnover on that when they threw the ball out of bounds. That one away, but yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite games that we ended up. I don't think there was ever a point where we had in our minds we were focused on going 18-0. Literally, we just saw the picture of the bricks of us building that foundation of you will lay the foundation of the bricks each time we will beat a team, and we're like, we want this wall to be complete. We're going to put one at a time and do what needs to be done, and we were able to. It sucks that Kentucky went on and did it again the next year. We couldn't even get like a few years.
You know what, though, Pat, you guys are the first. They can't take away the first. You guys are the first.
Absolutely.
The first.
Well, Coach, here's my last question for you. With everything that you've accomplished thus far as a coach and as a man, and how do you want to be remembered? How do you want your legacy to be remembered when you finally hang it up?
Boy, I think it's a great question, Pat. I think that the biggest thing that I've always admired, people ask you like different things whenever you finish up coaching, what do you want, it to look like? And I think rings and championships are unbelievable. I think that to me that those are just symbolic of a group of guys working together and accomplishing something they couldn't accomplish on their own. And it takes a very, very special group. I've always admired the way Dean Smith and even John Wooden, the players that you say in North Carolina, talked about their guys as coaches, and I would want my legacy to be that, I was a coach that really, really loved the game. And cared about his players and pushed his players. And I would really, it would be important to me, Patrick, that guys would sit there and say, although he may have been hard and challenging, I trusted him and he was a good person and he tried to do the right things, and that would really be important to me. Listen, you and I saw obviously so much ability in you and just your whole package, your smile, how bright and articulate you are, and just you could do anything. We talked about this. You could go into broadcasting, you could go into marketing, you could do whatever you want to do. And then you got this whole athletic side that you can, potentially go play for a long period of time. And you sit there and you look at this incredible, talented guy, and your job and responsibility is to try to challenge him to be and reach his fullest potential. You know, it's funny because I was telling you, your mom and I were talking on the phone. This is a great story. So you were, I think you were having a tough time. It wasn't so much you, Pat. I think there was unfairly. I think it's very hard for players when they're being compared to other players. And you coming out of high school, it was Dwight Howard, this guy's the neck, you know, and that's a lot for a young guy to handle. You know what I mean? Where you can't even just go be Patric Young, you gotta go be somebody else. So you were having a tough practice, you missed some shots, you were getting frustrated, and you know, when you got upset, like guys scattered, right? No one wanted to get hit by Pat.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm like, this is Young. I'm like, he gets so upset. He gets so frustrated. He says to me, Coach, I tell him all the time at home, Patric, we will talk tomorrow when you get composed and you get your thoughts together. We'll talk tomorrow. I'm like, that's great, Mrs. Young, but I'm in the middle of practice. I don't have tomorrow. I got to figure it out now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
Great. So, but I mean, I think as a coach, you're trying to sit there and, you know, it was funny because, Pat, there's a kid I coached, Thad Bonaparte at Marshall, and I inherited him, and it didn't work out. It just did not work out. And he was really talented, gifted, could have been a really, really, really good player. And I kind of lost contact with him. You know, I mean, I coached Marshall 25. He kind of lost contact. And, you know, earlier in the season, he reached out and connected with me. And we had this conversation, and this guy is like reciting things back to me that I was basically talking about at Marshall my first year there. Wow. And he was talking about how much regret he had. They didn't pay attention, and he had every opportunity, and he's doing great. But like as a coach, it's so hard. Like that seed didn't really start to take root till he was in his late 30s, you know, and
all you can do is plant the seed, Coach. Yeah,
right. And you know what, as you started to get to your junior and senior year stuff, you know what I mean? So everybody learns and grows at their own rate. Everybody learns and grows to their own experiences. And, you know, as a coach, you have to be able to accept that everybody's growth process is all different.
Right.
But you just hope that at some point, you know, they even call back and say, you know what, like, I got it now. I didn't get it when I was 20, but I got it when I was 30, you know, which is okay. Right. It's all good. So I think that's the great part about coaching, and also the challenging part about coaching, you know, because selfishly we all want you guys to get it now, and you know, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that.
Well, you know as well as I do, a lot of the watering and the growing is in the good Lord's hands, and His timing is perfect. As much as I wish I could have figured it out sooner, I think the man that I am now, I credit to you, and I credit to, of course, my family as well, but also his timing of taking me through some things. I don't think, you know, with the adversity I've faced these last few years with injuries and being in the hospital, I don't think I would have the same resiliency and mindset if I wouldn't have been able to go through some tough times of understanding what it takes to be a man, to be disciplined, to understand there's a lot I can't control, and just leaving it up in his hands and just continuing to be the best I can be every day. Because we have a lot of things we don't have control over, but the best I can do is to put the best version of myself out to people every day and to strive to be who the good Lord calls me to be. Am I going to be perfect at it? No. But each day I'm going to strive to be better and better. But anyways, Coach, I thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome. I can't wait till see what's going to happen here with basketball season. As soon as I get home, I am coming straight to Chicago, and I'm going to try and spend some time with you. And hopefully we'll be able to get finally catch some fish after 13 years.
Yes. Patric, I love the time, and I love you and your family, and I wish you all the best in Greece. Appreciate what you're doing to keep all the Gator Nation connected. It's awesome. And